All right. Hey, good morning. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. We've got a packed show today. We got a good show today. So we're going to have a special guest on around the 9 a.m. hour. That is DARIUS JUJU Williams, North Carolina Central stud, in my opinion, man. I loved his tape. We've got some highlights. He's got a wonderful story. So we're going to be chatting with our first NFL draft prospect this morning. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. We're going to get into NFL news right from the get. We've kind of got a sad story to start, and then we're going to roll into our Lions news. We're going to do all that when we come back. Apologize about the late start, but we're going to get rolling. Here we go.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from UperLights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Lights, with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit UperLights.com for all your UV flashlight needs, with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from UperLights.com.
All right, Eric, good morning, buddy. How are you this morning?
I'm fantastic this morning.
Yeah, I've got to find my scenes now. Let's make sure that I got to get all my scenes back. There we go.
There we go.
All right, so this other scene, we'll use that one later, but man, apologize about the notification. Not sure what I did. I mean, the thing's been sitting for forever as unlisted. So apparently it was set for a night show, which obviously wasn't going to happen. So, yeah. Anyway, we got a packed show. I've got to get to some not so good news to start the day. So there was a major bombshell that came out the other day. And normally, like I said, we start with NFL news, but this is one that hits home, and I'm going to try to keep my eyes dry. Obviously, it's not easy to talk about, especially people that, have affected you from afar, people that you haven't even met that have affected you in ways because of their challenge, their battle, their story. And that is Andy Isaac. So Andy Isaac is known from his Twitter account, his X account, whatever you want to call it, World of Isaac, at World of Isaac. And he's been battling non-Hodgkin's lymphoma since 2006. Huge Detroit sports fan. I mean, you just love his energy and everything that he's about. But 89,000 followers have found Andy, and through his journey, over the last almost 20 years now, 18 years. And he's been there through all of it, man, through the thick and the thin, posting through all the highs and the lows of Detroit and Michigan State sports over the last 15 years, and also a very outspoken advocate for food in restaurants across Metro Detroit through his Saturday posts, which was him sharing the food he ate on Saturdays. Isaac also brought, many joys to many of us through his weekly posts, asking his followers to share something good that happened to them. He got a quote. I got a quote here from him where he says, "I have composed so many messages on social media for myself, for work, for entertainment, for food, for cancer, for Saturday, for sports, for the Lions, and for the Pistons, and for the Tigers, and for MSU, and so on, and so on, and so on. I don't know when my first tweet or post was, but I can tell you, sadly, this is probably one of my last." Andy's decided to finally enter hospice because his cancer battle has been too much. Andy, whether you hear this or not, man, I know I messaged you the other day, but you've been an inspiration to me from afar. So I wish you nothing but the best. And wherever your next journey takes you. Eric, any thoughts?
Yeah, I never got to meet Andy. I really didn't know about him until this week, but I'm going to tell you what, every single super fan, every writer in Detroit, every podcaster in Detroit has been on this week on the Twitterverse talking about Andy. And so it made me dig a little deeper, and I read a few of his tweets and found out who he was. And I didn't recognize him. I don't think I've ever seen him before. Never got the chance to meet him. Would have been a pleasure. But what a sad situation. It sucks because he's a younger guy. He doesn't, looks my age or younger. Doesn't look like he's in his 80s, that's for sure. So cancer sucks all the way around.
He's definitely not. He's definitely younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is why Rocked On Cancer Foundation is obviously never had a chance to work with Andy or anything like that, but it's his story that you watch. And I really haven't been on Twitter for a very long time, but I mean, he was one of the first. He was probably one of the first that I captured early, when I entered Twitter. And it was always catching it, like I didn't even have to follow him to see his stuff. And some of the messages, that he is sent out to other fans. I wanna reiterate one, and I can't say the whole word because I banned the word from our show. But Andy usually always finishes his sentences with F the Bears forever. So Andy, F the Bears, man. We'll follow in your tradition, I promise. Eric, let's get to some NFL news, man. What are we talking about with salary caps?
All right. So the NFL salary cap is on the rise again. The NFL salary cap will be between $277.5 million and $281.5 million for the 2025 season. We already had people in the chat asking this morning about this rise, rising as much as $26 million from last year, which means all 32 NFL teams will have up to $26 million more to work with this season. NFL teams got some good news Wednesday. They were informed the 2025 salary cap will be between $277 and $281. Well, ahead of last year's figure of $255 million, according to Spotrac, the Detroit Lions have approximately $56 million in available cap space heading into 2025. Now, if you take $56 million, you add 26, that puts us at $82 million. Now, doesn't that make you feel a lot better, Lions fans? Now, I know every other team is getting $26 million as well, but that makes things a little bit easier. And looking at the trend with the whole NFL going up by $26 million this year, if you go back to 2009, we have more than doubled the salary cap since 2009. So in 16 years, the cap has doubled.
Yeah, it's pretty big numbers. Last year was a record-setting number for the salary cap increase, and this year is very close to doing that again. But the effective cap rate is what I look at, and the effective cap rate is taking into consideration, how much teams have to spend on their rookie class. What do they really have to spend after the draft or leading up to the draft? And today, according to OTC, the Lions are at $49.194 million. Okay. Now, if you do add this 20-ish, 25-ish, 26-ish million that's going to be added to it, we're right in that $75 million range. So it's a big number, and I can already hear what fans are saying. Well, go get Myles Garrett. Go get this person, go get that person, go get Max Crosby. And I will tell you that we have to keep in mind that, and I'm not trying to poo-poo and rain on your parade, that we just paid Jared Goff and Aleem McNeil and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those contracts haven't even hit yet. Like, they haven't hit. Their first major season with a big cap hit has yet to come. So we have to keep in mind that Brad Holmes is going to need to roll over some funds. He's going to have to save some funds every single season so that those big cap hits, when they do happen, do one of two things, right? You end up either losing the player because you're going to have to trade him or cut him, depending on how you put the roster together. you'll have to renegotiate a new deal, or you'll roll over enough funds to where you'll be able to actually keep these guys and pay them. Remember, I don't think Brad Holmes is going to, make these contracts into the fugazi that I call all the other ones. I think he's going to, call these contracts when they're due and get them paid, but we need the funds to do it. As an organization, as a Lions organization, they need the funds, not we. They need the funds to do it. I would love to have $50 million in my bank account.
I just want one.
It just doesn't mean that. It just doesn't mean that we have, this infinite amount of money to go and spend. And that's what's going to happen this week. And the rest of this week and next week, that there's going to be probably a lot of videos popping out saying that we've got all this money. We can now go get this dude, that dude, and the third. Unlikely to happen. If it wasn't going to happen already, the salary cap's not going to make that much of a difference, because we're only talking maybe an additional $6 million, A 10% increase every year is probably what you should expect. 8% is more realistic. Anything above 8% is a bonus. Anything above 10%, I would call extra. And we're talking a couple $1,000,000 when it's just, a couple $1,000,000 over that 10% mark. So you've got another one up here for NFL news, and that would be possible NFL rival rumors. What's going on here?
Okay, so I'm going to tell everybody straight up right now, this is 100 billion% a rumor. This is not set in stone. This is not something that any official NFL anything has put out. So this is a rumor from a let's say jersey manufacturer, and they have some fingers in the NFL. So according to multiple sources on X, on the Twitterverse, there is a new rumor in the NFL that all 32 teams may just have a rival series uniform that will be worn for divisional games. For now, there's not much information other than this rumor would be a possible way for the league to expand to more than the home away alternate combos the league currently uses for each team. So this would be a fourth option. And I think it would be awesome. Wouldn't it be awesome if we wore our rivals jerseys against the Pack and against the Bears and against the Vikings? We had a special home and a special away jersey just for those teams. I think it would be spectacular. And the NFL is all about making money. Well, there's a way to make money. There's two new jerseys, a home and an away jersey for your rivals. And I'm buying the rivals jerseys.
We could probably just have some made anyway.
Yeah.
We could absolutely just have some made. But that's interesting. I didn't hear about this at all. I don't have any links to anything today for whatever reason. Yep. So I did not see this one. I guess I would have never even thought it possible. I mean, they have a hard enough time allowing these teams to have an alternate, let alone three more alternates. That'd be kind of tough. But at the same time, maybe it's just one alternate additional to what they already have.
Yeah.
That they could call a rival jersey that they could wear during, rivalry games. Maybe it's just one or two home and away, just a different mismatch of what they, already have in the arsenal.
Yep. Might be.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. And this is from a place called NFL Uniform Source. And then the other one was Detroit Sports Nation. So I saw it in two different places. So that was why I thought maybe I'd bring it up, but it is 100%. It is a rumor.
Well, you know how rumors are this time of year. So, Hey, before we get into the next topic, do us a favor and like, share, and comment, if you will, or in the chat. But like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share this, because by 9 a.m., we're going to have our first NFL prospect, first NFL draft prospect on the show. He would love to obviously communicate with a lot more fans this morning. So get on your social media, hit the share button, which is somewhere below your fingers right now on your phone, and get it out to your friends, your Lions fans that want to see this guy. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to be projected. I mean, I have some considerations, but I will share that after the show. I will tell you that I took a lot of time last night to create some highlights for him, and they're not the best cut-ups. The video feeds were all in 480. So I'll try to clean it up later, but some hits in this and some tenacity from this gentleman. I tell you what, this guy is a hitter. He's a ball player. He's one of those gems that maybe Brad Holmes has found. I don't know. We'll find out later. All right, so what's up next here on NFL News? We've got international home game teams have been announced.
Yeah, so yesterday, the NFL announced the 2025 international slate of games. Adam Schefter listed the home games yesterday as follows. So the first game, week 1, the Chargers will be in Brazil at the Arena Corinthians. And then the Jets and the Browns.
Hold on, say that again. They're going to be at the Arena Corinthians. Is that where they played last year in Brazil?
I am not sure. I really didn't pay attention to what I know they had problems with the grass last year.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just know it was in Brazil.
So for me, dude, I really wanted to go to the Brazil game. Was it Brazil? Where were they last year? Because there was a lot of political unrest that time.
Yeah, it was
around
Brazil. Yeah.
It was Brazil, wasn't it?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I really wanted to, but I was more nervous of having to travel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they had the Eagles and the Packers in that game last year, and both teams are green. Well, green is a gang color in Brazil.
Okay.
So they weren't even allowing the people in the stands, unless they were from America, you couldn't even wear green in the stands.
Interesting. So Mark Parker in the chat. I don't know why the volume would be low. If anyone else is having a volume issue, I've double checked mine. We did a recording earlier. All of our volumes were good. Let me just double check my YouTube because I don't want this to bleed into our guest hour. But keep on going, Eric. Keep on talking about this international home game while I'm checking out audio.
All right. So the Jets and the Browns, one game each, will have a game in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So the Jets and the Browns each get a week. So that's 3 games. And then the Jaguars, of course, are going to be in London at Wembley Stadium for game number 4. Game number 5 is going to be the Colts in Berlin, Germany. And then number 6 is going to be the Dolphins in Madrid. And then the last game is going to be the Steelers in Dublin. So once again, for many, many years now, the Detroit Lions are not playing in an international game because none of these teams are on our schedule for this next upcoming season.
Gotcha. Derek Lewis, you're too funny. He says, I just can't hear it when I'm out of the room getting coffee. Dude, turn up your speaker. You got to put it on surround sound, man. We're recording. I'm recording in 5.1 here, so you should be able to turn up that bass, man.
You got to get one of these, man. You just carry it around. You put it on
clip it to your belt buckle.
Clip it to your belt, man. This thing is awesome. I take it on bike rides. I take it everywhere, man. And the battery lasts forever. I had to go to the casino and get 200 points to get this for free. So it was very expensive.
Yeah.
It was not free.
All right, so you talked about Jaguars in London, Colts in Berlin, Dolphins in Madrid, Steelers in Dublin. I would love to go watch a game in Ireland.
Anywhere. Any of these games would be awesome to go see. I've never been to any of those countries.
We have one coming up in Australia.
Oh, really? That'd be cool too.
So I think that's next year. I thought they said it was this year, but maybe it's next year.
That's the Rams next year.
Yeah. So we have a Down Under insider that'll be joining the show soon, probably next week. Just have to figure out the audio situation with that individual. So we'll be getting some news from the Down Under here soon. All right. Well, let's skip down to some Lions news. That was the only topics we really had this morning for NFL news. There's really nothing else popping or breaking that I saw. But Eric, why don't you walk us into something for Lions news? And then I've got to look at something online real quick, and then I'm going to pop in for my Lions news headline here in just a second. So go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go to the one that is closest to the heart for me. The NFL puts the JMO gun saga to bed for good. It's done, finito, over with. According to ESPN, Detroit Lions wideout receiver Jamison Williams will not face discipline from the NFL for carrying an unlicensed gun, with a league spokesman confirming to ESPN on Wednesday that the matter is closed. JMO was a passenger in a vehicle that was stopped by police last October. Will and I previously talked about this very subject multiple times on the Rise and Grind show. We have always been of the opinion that this would come to an end with no punishment for JMO. And would you look at that? This should put a final bow on the situation and put it to bed forever.
That's great news for JMO, man. I didn't even know that they were still looking at this. And why has it taken several months? It seems like the NFL drags their feet on things. And here we are headed into a whole, new season, an off season, and they're dragging their feet. I'm glad it's done. Like, I'm really glad that, he didn't suffer any punishment. And let's be honest, I feel like the NFL, they try to do too much policing. Unless you are convicted in a court of law by a judge or a jury and your peers, and you've been convicted of a crime, the NFL should say nothing, do nothing. If it goes against, the personal conduct policy, and again, if you are convicted, then yes, I think that the NFL has their right to inflict whatever punishment they want. But just stop messing with these dudes. Like, just stop messing with these guys' lives and just let them be. Let the one, court of law that governs all of us in this country be the one that punishes these players for what they do. And then if they do, then you can react. But no more of this, we're going to put a temporary suspension in place. Well, why? If it hasn't gone through the court system, leave it alone. And I realize that there's certain things that you probably don't want to screw with, like, Cam Sutton last year. That whole deal. I understand that. Anytime there's domestic violence involved, there's report upon report upon report. You can probably get enough information to make a determination ahead of time, right? And if you do go into a pretrial diversionary program like Cam did, then obviously he was probably guilty, allegedly, and he just was able to divert and not face the ultimate punishment. So that I understood, that was warranted. But what were you just going to say?
Have we ever found out about the $10 million from him?
I think they're still working through arbitration. I've tried to dig. I've tried to make some phone calls. I haven't found anything yet, or no one's speaking about it. I think it's still going through arbitration, but that was supposed to be back on our books this year.
That'd be a nice chunk of change for the Lions.
So that'd be another $10 million, which would give us an effective cap rate of about 59 before the new league season adds 26, 27, whatever it's going to add. So yeah, $10 million is huge. And I would say this, if they get that $10 million back this year, then it does make a little bit more sense to probably go, add a $25 million guy. Because if you are going to spend 15 on somebody in free agency, then that extra 10 is kind of that, hey, that's like free money to a degree. That's kind of how I would treat it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'd be well reserved on making sure that my future contracts were handled. That you have extra money, you have extra room. You don't want to be strapped. And I think that's what Brad Holmes is trying to create. And I'm sure Sheila has a big, say in that as well. But I don't think that the Lions want to be cash strapped ever. I think that they want to have plenty of room to be able to do the things that they need to do. They have 4 guys, the next season that they're going to have to extend. They're going to need all of that money and more. So next season, I mean, we're looking at easily probably $75 million in new contracts going to 4 guys. Easily. So how are we going to make it all fit? Well, you got to have some rollover. You have to have a surplus. And every year that the NFL adds, another cherry on top, it just kind of helps. But that money's already used. It's already gone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think the reason that this is what I was going to say, the reason that the NFL continues to look at things is the Ray Rice situation, because he had went through the court system and wasn't punished. And then all of a sudden this tape comes out that shows him blatantly punching and knocking this woman out and then dragging her out of the elevator. So I think that's why the NFL has kept their fingers in things even after the fact of not being convicted by courts.
Yeah, that whole situation, that was doozy for the NFL because they initially made a determination. I don't know if you just said this. I wasn't paying attention. But they initially made a determination, and then a couple weeks later, they find out that there's more to the story when TMZ broke that video. So one bit of NFL news for me today is this. So we lost another guy last night. Apparently, and I don't know if this has been going on for a hot minute, but not only did we lose another individual from the Detroit Lions, but this time it wasn't at least the coaching staff. So it was announced about noonish yesterday that Detroit Lions executive is going to be leaving for Michigan State. So according to ESPN's Pete Thamel, Michigan State is hiring John Dykema as its executive senior associate athletic director for student athlete management and assistant general counsel. So per the team's website, Dykema oversaw legal aspects of the club's football operation, negotiating player contracts, assisting with the club's salary cap planning and management, helping to direct analytics initiatives, and coordinating with the league office regarding CBA compliance, player contracts, and grievances. So John Dykema, welcome to East Lansing, is the statement of the day, I guess. He returns to East Lansing now and will become the executive senior associate A&D, student athlete management and assistant general counsel. So congratulations to Dykema, but that is another hole that Brad is going to have to fill. Now, before he held positions as a manager of football admin and lead counsel for the Lions from 2016 to 2021. He was the interim general counsel in 2015, and he was staff counsel before that, 2011 to 2014. So he has a long tenured history, obviously, in with the law background. Look, he's going to be part of what was Izzo's led staff, or he was part of Izzo's staff back in the day that was during the Final Four appearances in a row. So, like, this guy has history with Michigan State, and now he's headed back. So he's out of here. That's another one. It's a good one, right? You can't you can't overpay or over accentuate the need for good cap guys. Guys that really know contracts. I will tell you, I have a limited view of contracts. We only get so much, but these things, they're so in depth, and you really have to know your stuff. I would love to see a full contract. Doubt that we ever will. Another bit of news here by Dylan Grouse is, will the ex-Stanford football coach be a vital piece to the Detroit Lions' success in 2025? So after being away from the sidelines for a couple of seasons, former Stanford head coach David Shaw, obviously returning as the passing game coordinator for the Detroit Lions at 25. The other day, he spoke about, John Morton and his opportunity and what that may mean to the Lions offense in 2025. But honestly, after a little bit of pre-thought, I started to kind of get nervous about Morton. After we spoke about it yesterday, Eric, I was like, man, this dude only has one season of play calling experience. And that kind of made me shake a little bit. Like, is he really going to be able to put all this together? I am supportive. I feel like he has the tools. He has history, at least, with our team, but not a ton of play calling experience. Now, that's where Shaw, in my opinion, is going to be able to help, because he's bringing many years of experience while also having a reputation for having a very strong offensive mind. So Shaw figures to play a big role in helping the Lions offense in this upcoming season. Shaw not only has a good track record of getting the most out of quarterbacks, Andrew Luck being probably the best example at Stanford, but also has been a play caller for years. He could now be instrumental while working in tandem with John Morton and running the offense. So it's his perspective and ideas that could help this Lions team, this Lions offense, remain one of the most potent in all of football in the NFL. Some questions about what their scheme will look like. I'm still wondering. I think it's going to be a little bit more run balanced with a little extra screen game thrown in there. What will Jared Goff look like? Will he be able to continue his MVP caliber type play that he's had over the last few seasons? And the run game, will it continue to flourish? These are all questions that are going to be answered this summer when we finally get an opportunity to see these guys at camp. But Shaw's official role as a passing game coordinator will also be there to oversee all aspects of the team's passing attack and develop a plan and strategy for all the situational football, right? Such as third downs, red zone, 2-minute, etc. Shaw will also be working very closely with both John Morton and Dan Campbell throughout the season. So the only other coach on staff that has held a full-time head coaching job is Mark Brunell and defensive assistant Bruce Gradkowski, who coached high school. So Shaw could evolve into a key resource, not only for the Lions franchise, but for some of the other coaches on the sideline. My question to you, Eric, is John Morton a bridge while Shaw gets his feet wet again? Do we see an opportunity maybe where if Morton's kind of having a tough go at it, that Shaw becomes the play caller? And I hate to even throw that out there, but I think that this was a surgical move by Dan Campbell to have two bright minds working together so that if one is having, a tough go, you have a backup plan. Do you feel the same?
Yeah. If you look at Anthony Lynn, you look at the other coach that we let go for the DBs, Dan Campbell.
I'll be Pleasant.
Yeah. Pleasant. Yeah. He went. And if you look at those guys, it's not that they were bad coaches. It's just they were bad fits. They did not fit with the Lions. And the Lions are not above saying, hey, we made a mistake. You just don't fit. I'm sorry. And so I don't think that Brad and Dan build a coaching staff where they're going to get caught with their pants down. So if Morton comes out and he's not doing things the Lions ways, I would not be surprised one bit if after one season we let him go and David Shaw moves up. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. And I think they're always thinking of the future. What's next? What's our next move? So the Lions are playing chess. They're thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead. They're never thinking of the just right now.
I would agree with that. I think that's I think it's a smart move. And like I pointed out yesterday, I had asked Justin Rogers if the Lions added extra assistants because it certainly seemed like it. And his answer was, yeah, a couple. I would like to know where we got deeper, though. I haven't had the time to sit down and really analyze who went where and what was added here, what was added there. And maybe I'll get a chance this weekend. But it's interesting to see how they're building upon they're rebuilding upon what they've already built, so to speak. So, all right, up next, we already talked about JMO. How about this one? Now, this has been floated after the season, after the Super Bowl, talking about an individual that could come back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Mr. Big Play Slay.
Yeah. So could Big Play DARIUS Slay make a return to the Detroit Lions in 2025? The impending 3-time Pro Bowl corner who once roamed Ford Field for the Detroit Lions, DARIUS Big Play Slay, is set to become a free agent in March of 2025. And in a recent interview with Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Brown Brothers podcast, he said he would love to be reunited in Detroit. What would you all say to a return for DARIUS Slay back to the Lions? Let me know in the chat what you guys think of that one.
I'm not in the chat, but I'm going to give you an answer. So, yeah, I don't see it happening. I feel like the money is too much. Those bones are a little bit old. I don't think that Slay is as shut down as he used to be. This is just based on watching a few of the Eagles games this year. I'd have to dig deeper, obviously, to see what he really did this last season. But I think that they had a quick injection of Quinton Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and they might be moving off of Slay this year or significantly reducing his contract.
I was mistaken. He is not a free agent. So Slay remains under contract for 2025, but he carries a cap number of 13.7 million, and the Eagles only have 19 million to work with, and they have a bunch of free agents they have to take care of.
Well, they'll get, the 25 million or 27 million injection like everybody else. And to be honest with you, you could just look at what the Lions did. When it comes to extensions, it doesn't necessarily mean that money's going to hit this year. So they'll get a signing bonus. Let's say, you sign a player to, a 75 million, 3-year, $75 million deal, and there's 30 million of guaranteed, money in there, and you give them a signing bonus, or there's 40 million of guaranteed money, and you give them a signing bonus of 25. Well, you can spread, I think, the signing bonus out over 4 seasons or 5 seasons in the void years. I think it's 5 total. So it doesn't all hit you this year. Where it does hit you is when you move off that player. So if for some reason you're going to trade that player the next year, all of those void years come due. I am going to try to get a representative on this season. I tried last year, didn't work out. Sam Monson, for whatever reason, couldn't make it on from PFF, but I wanted to have a high-level conversation about contracts. So I'm going to reach out to Spotrac again and Over the Cap and try to get one of them on to talk about it, because there's so much to learn, not only about their site, but how these contracts really work on their site. My goal is to help educate myself, right, as well as everybody else, to kind of, have a better idea of how these contracts are really working in the NFL. Because what a lot of people see is they see the big number, right? They see the big glaring number, but it's underneath it all really is what makes the difference in how they're able to navigate the treacherous waters of cap space, because it's not easy. But as far as my answer on big play Slay, like I was saying, I'm more worried about that $13 million deal. If they're going to renegotiate and do a renegotiate and trade, great. How much are you going to pay for him? What are you going to give up for Slay? That's the question. If they could chop his contract in half, or add an extra year to it and bump him to 15 million for 2 seasons, 7.5 each, well, that's not so bad. But it's going to be fully guaranteed probably at that low rate. And how much are you willing to pay for that? 3rd round pick, 4th round pick? I can't imagine anything more than that or less. I don't know that I'd be willing to go a 3rd. I think that those compensatory 3rds that we just received for Aaron Glenn are going to be critical in this year's draft.
Yeah. I'll say this. Slay would be a fit. He was a fit when he was here. I believe he was ran out of town by Matt Patricia, and that's it, plain and simple. I wish he never would have went anywhere. He was one of my favorite players, and I would welcome him back with open arms if somehow we could make it happen. I think he's just as good or better than Carlton Davis, and I think he still got it.
So I will say this too, on big play Slay. I think that we can all agree that he did not get off to a very fast start in Detroit. Nope. And so when you look at Terrion Arnold, and I've heard in some comments, people thinking that trading Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, that Brad Holmes made a mistake in grabbing both those players last year, that we should trade them away to get Myles Garrett. And I don't know where this stuff even comes from, to be honest with you. When a corner comes into the NFL, one, it is highly unlikely that corner is just going to jump out of the box and shine. It rarely ever happens. You get one rookie a year that really looks phenomenal, when they come into the league. It is one of the hardest positions to learn. It's long been said that it takes at least 2 years, if not 3, for a corner to fully develop. Year 1, it's like blur, right? Everything is just blurry. They're trying to catch up. And the next season in year 2, the game slows down for them. And it's at that point when the game slows down that you really start to see who that player could become. But by year 3, man, they're locked in. And that is when you're going to see that player really flourish. And I would say that that's probably the exact trajectory that Slay took. And then he was, gone not too far after that, headed out because of Quinn Trisha. So sometimes you just got to have a little bit of patience.
Yep.
Just a little bit of patience. All right, what's up next?
Oh, let's see. We had the thing about Myles Garrett. So back before Christmas, Hutchinson was on the Squeeze podcast, hosted by actor and Lions fan Taylor Lautner and his wife Tay. He was back as a guest on the latest edition of the podcast, which was recorded during the Super Bowl week in New Orleans. And he talked about the much speculated conversation he had with Garrett at the honors. And this is what Hutchinson had to say. If me and Myles were to pair up, that would be deadly. I was talking to him. We were at the honors and we were just talking about what could be. And although it's probably unlikely, I think I would be thrilled to play next to him if it were to happen. But yeah, our whole D-line. And that's what he had to say about playing with Myles Garrett.
So last night, I got a message in one of the comments, and this individual is clearly just trolling, but trying to say, yeah, see, even Aiden Hutchinson is saying that we need Myles Garrett. And I'm like, that's not what he said. It's not what he said at all. Matter of fact, if you go back to Radio Row Wednesday, that's almost a tongue twister. He said the exact opposite, that, yeah, it would be great, but unlikely that you're going to see a team pay through the nose for two of the same position. It doesn't happen a whole lot. If this player was on a final year of their deal and they're coming in off the trade deadline, that makes more sense because you're paying, a third of their salary for the rest of the season. Then it does make sense, but that's not what this is. This is a sign, to a renegotiated deal ahead of time. That is the Lions making a commitment to Myles Garrett saying, yep, we're going to give you 3 years. We'll give you an additional 75 or 80 or 90 million. And yeah, that's not something that I feel like the Lions are going to do when they still need to possibly extend Aiden after he comes back this season and has another amazing year. And then they got 4 guys to extend next year. How are you going to fit it all? You can't. It's not possible. The math isn't mathing. So when Aiden makes his comments, is he going to say anything negative? Like, do you really think that Aiden's going to get up to the mic and say, oh, hell no, I don't want to play with the best defensive end in the league? No way. I wouldn't want that guy on my team. Are you kidding me? No, he's going to walk the PC route, and he's going to say Myles is great. He appreciated Myles for texting him when he got injured. So all of those things. He's going to say wonderful things. But when it comes down to dollars and cents, it has to make sense. So last bit of comments on that. We got our guest that just joined our waiting room, I think.
Oh, right.
Nope,
on.
that looks like Riley. So
okay.
maybe he got his audio figured out. Still waiting on Darius to join us here by the 9 o'clock hour.
All right.
So final thoughts there on Aiden Hutchinson.
Listen, as a fan, would it be cool to see Myles Garrett lining up on the other side of Hutch? Oh, man, that'd be fantastic. But I just don't see how it happens. If we had a particular fan still in the chat, I'd say, man, I'll put your team's jersey on and take my picture and make it my profile picture for a month if this trade goes through. I just don't think it's going to happen. I would be willing to, I'd be willing to put something on the line that it is not going to happen. I don't believe that Brad thinks we're one player away. I think Brad is going to do what we have talked about time and time and time again on this podcast, that you build it, you don't buy it. So I really do believe that Brad thinks he can find the next Myles Garrett in the draft. He's there. Maybe not in this draft, maybe not in the next one, but he's in one of these drafts coming up. A player that is, heads and tails above everyone else. There's a player, and he might find him in the 4th round. Look what he did with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So if you were a GM and you had found St. Brown in the 4th, wouldn't you think that, hey, maybe you have the eye to find talent in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round that maybe no one else is seeing? And that's, I think, why Brad takes flyers on Broderick Martin and Giovanni Manu and Mahogany. And, you keep throwing darts at the board. One of these times you're going to hit one. And I think he hit one with Mahogany. I think Mahogany, for being a 6th round pick, is going to be absolutely fantastic. How often do you get a starter quality player in the 6th round? It doesn't happen very often. Same thing he did with Malcolm Rodriguez, so it could turn out to be, he wants to build it through the draft, and he's going to find an edge or a defensive tackle that you're like, oh, why did he draft that guy? And then he ends up being absolutely fantastic, because that's what happened with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can tell you, there was no one when we picked up Amon-Ra in the draft thinking, oh man, that guy's going to be an all-pro. Oh, that guy's going to be a Pro Bowler. Man, he might end up being one of the best wide receivers the Lions ever had. No one thought that. So
I think it's hilarious. Yeah. And to be honest, there's a lot of draft diamonds that just go unnoticed. Brad has found, a good way, or he's found a way to identify them. You're going to have guys that are in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round that maybe they're not high on your chart. Every single year, guys go under the radar. They're a little bit lesser known commodity. And then you jump onto the scene. You're like, where'd this guy come from? Well, that comes from the hard work that the GMs and the scout team and everybody else puts in, in the offseason to find these guys. There's talent all over the place. There's guys that never get noticed, never get drafted, and then for some reason, they don't make it. You know what I mean? They don't make it, and I can't stand that. That these guys just don't get noticed. I just saw Darius in the studio. I think he's still in there. I think he's there still. So our guest has joined. First, I'm going to do an audio check with Riley. Riley is back with us, and then we're going to be bringing Mr. Darius JUJU Williams in here at 9 a.m. Riley, go ahead and give us an audio check, please.
Yeah, I am in. Can you guys hear me okay?
All right, we got you better this time. Everybody have their sheet ready?
Yep.
I'm ready to rock and roll, man.
Okay, so I'll lead through the interview and kind of get everybody on point. There was a couple changes today. So Eric, did you see the change that I sent to you?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I'm excited to talk with Mr. Williams. Like I said, his story is what really attracted me. His tape last night, I was up till 1:00 going through tape. Even more so, I asked him what his best games were from last year, and man, I couldn't even really get through Alabama State. There was so many good plays. So a lot of these highlights that we're going to go over today is a lot of Alabama State. So I want to get his opinion on those 4 games too, and we have a lot of good questions for him. We'll see how long he can stay on with us this morning, but we have a lot of great questions. I feel I want to learn more about his story and who he is, and excited to see what his next step is in this journey. So we're going to do all that. We're going to come back here, give us about 30 to 60 seconds, and then we'll be bringing in Mr. Darius Williams. We'll be right back.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uperlights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from Uperlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uperlights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit Uperlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from Uperlights.com. Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights. Michigan.
Okay, we're back. I know we're a little bit ahead of 9 a.m., but I want to bring in Mr. DARIUS JUJU Williams here, and let's get talking. We'll do a quick audio check, and we'll get rolling. All right. Good morning, Darius. Do you have good audio from us? Oh, let me fix it on my end. I knew this would happen. Give me one sec. Oh, make sure you're unmuted if you're still muted. Are you muted by chance? I don't have audio. Let me try this again. One more time. Do you have audio from us? Can we get a soundbite from you? Are you sure you're not muted? Or did I mute you somehow? Interesting. Yeah, I just unmuted it. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm gonna jump out and create a new scene. I'll be right back. Okay. So while I'm doing this, Eric, I'm gonna put you up. Just go ahead and talk about something for a moment, and let me try to get this fixed. I don't know what happened.
Oh, sure. So let's see here. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Let's see.
Do you have audio for me, Eric?
Yep, I can hear you there, Riley. What's going on?
I've just had some people in the chat commenting. I got some new lights behind me, and somebody said, I think it was Mike P, said Eric needs to give you some stones. Maybe that's what I should have been doing the whole time.
Yeah. It's funny. I was trying to come up with a new logo, and I asked AI to make me a new logo for my company, Uper Lights, right? And I'm like, do something in the shape of Michigan and do it with a flashlight, and then do something with a stone. And it created this really cool picture of a stone with the shape of Michigan on it, all out of Uper Light, and then a flashlight sitting up against the stone. It was pretty cool. And yeah. So right now,
courtesy of AI.
Yeah. So AI is crazy stuff. And I have a super sale going on right now. My tax time sale, the lowest prices ever for a Convoy C8 or Uper Light mini flashlight, the cheapest prices ever right now.
All right. If you guys can hear me, I definitely have audio back from Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
So I should be bringing him in here in just 1 second. I just got to reset the browser scene for him. I don't know why, but you know how it goes.
Yeah. No, you're doing great, man. We'll figure it out. Appreciate everybody's patience.
Joe, the URL is uperlights.com. So if you missed it in the ad, that's what it is.
All right, we're almost there. Paul, I appreciate your patience, Mr. Williams. All right.
Yeah, we hear him.
Okay, I think we got you. I'll get your scene adjusted. Good morning. How are you this morning? And welcome to Rock Down Detroit Lions, Rock Down Podcast Network. I'm excited to hear your story, man. So I guess just give us your quick 30-second of who you are, and then I'm going to jump right into a bio for you if you don't mind. Yeah, you've actually you played for a few schools, and I found you the other day on Twitter when I saw that Jadeveon Clowney type hit that you made, which I got the highlight for. We're gonna play it here in a little bit, But I want to get into your bio real quick. If everybody could just let me know, do we have an audio issue still? That's probably my fault if we do. I don't know why we would, but you guys have both sides? There we go. All right, we should be good now. And we should have his audio all set. One more move. Okay. All right, good to go. So good morning, Mr. Williams. I want to get into your bio. So you're a native of Hemingway, South Carolina, and you were ranked as the 5th best prospect in South Carolina coming out of high school. You were invited to play in the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl. You earned Lineman of the Year and Best All-Around Player honors after posting 386 tackles, 22 sacks, 6 touchdowns during your high school career. Clearly, you were a force on the field at a young age. And then you signed with Middle Tennessee State out of high school, transferred, and correct me on any of this if it's wrong, transferred to Indiana State after 3 years, and finished your college career at North Carolina Central University. Now, over your college career, you've played in 27 games, 48 tackles, 18 solo, 30 assisted, 10 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups. And then you mentioned this, that, you know, injuries played a part in your career or part of your journey, but you don't believe in adversity or injuries really dictating, you know, the outcome, you know, where you're going to end up. So I found that very profound. You know, when I was reading some things about you and your story, I thought it was very profound, you know, at your age and what you're going through as a young football player, that a lot of people would love to make excuses. And, oh, I couldn't do this because of that, or I couldn't do this because of this. And not Mr. Darius Williams here. He doesn't believe in that. But I'm going to start with an easy question, right? I'm going to give you the layup, the icebreaker. What is your favorite football movie of all time? And did anything from that movie really resonate with you during your journey throughout football so far?
I have to say, remember the Titans. It's just the message about teamwork, overcoming adversity, and pushing past limits that you're stuck with. It reminds me that football is bigger than just a game. It's about a brotherhood, being resilient, and growth.
Remember the Titans. I mean, that's going to be an iconic movie forever, and I think you're spot on there. You know, togetherness is a big thing, especially in the culture of a team. You know, being able to play for one another, having each other's back, and I think that the Titans definitely accentuated that. So let's dig in a little bit further here. So tell us a little bit more about your journey, though. That included stops at Middle Tennessee State, which I messaged you the other day and let you know that I used to own the restaurant there in Boone, North Carolina, where Middle Tennessee State would come for away games when they were playing App State. And so I got to cook, you know, and host all of the football players. So I know a little bit about Mid Tennessee. You stopped at Indiana State, ultimately North Carolina Central. Why were each of these stops important to you? And what did you learn along the way? And where are you going from here?
Every stop played a role in my growth. I say Middle Tennessee, it taught me discipline and patience, because I came in with an injury. I came with 2 injuries out of high school that I didn't know about. And from that point on, I just had my biggest thing was buying in the special team. That's the main thing my coaches they instilled in my head, from Coach Dustin Royston, Coach Tommy West, and Coach Rick Stockstill, and Coach Schaefer. They told me to buy in the special teams. And that just taught me the patience side of it. As I transferred to Indiana State, for me, it just was a lesson of perseverance and adapting to new systems, and staying locked in, because Coach Schaefer knew one of the coaches at Indiana State, which was Coach Mallory, and he put in a good word for me, and that's how I ended up there. But as I got there, I had my daughter. The birth of my daughter, my mom ended up being diagnosed with breast cancer, further along with my father's health issues. So that was them 2 years was pretty rough for me, but it was just persevering. But as I got to North Carolina Central, like I already been through the adversity, the stages, and it just was embracing for me. I had definitely had to find that confidence again, and just was embracing the leadership and playing with my full passion that I know I have. But every challenge along the way shaped me to who I am today.
So I think everyone's journey is important, and the things that you're speaking to, some of the things that I'll bring up again here in a little bit, is part of the reason. It's part of the bigger reason why I really wanted to talk with you this morning and let everyone else hear the DARIUS JUJU Williams story, because we all tend to battle a lot in life, and there's a lot of stories that go untold, and we really don't know what anyone is battling at any certain point in their life. And it seems like we get judged for things when maybe asking a question is more important, or trying to find out, what that person's going through and how you can help them. Right. And so you never know. But I want to bring in the guys and try to get this other scene up here and carry on our conversation. Oh my goodness. Look at that. The scene actually worked. We're batting 1,000 so far. All right, so up next here, we've got more questions. Matter of fact, Eric has a question for you next here, talking about this most recent season.
Sure. Hey, Darius, I'm Eric, by the way, all the way from the UP of Michigan. And this season, the NCCU finished.
Oh, can't hear him.
Oh, he can't hear me.
He can't hear you. We had this issue before with, for some reason, guests cannot hear. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I'll clip all this stuff out later.
Yeah.
That's good.
Can you hear me, Eric?
Yep, I can hear you.
Darius, can you hear Riley at all?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, in the meantime, I'll ask the question. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that. I don't know why it's doing that. It shouldn't, but this is also why I reached out to the company for the back studio, because this has been a problem. All right, so I'll ask the question. I apologize, guys. So this season, North Carolina Central finished 8-3, and you were second in the MEAC. You had a 4-1 conference record. You also defeated Alabama State in the cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge, and had wins over rivals North Carolina A&T and Campbell. So Eric's question was this: was it, what was your favorite moment during this past season, and why?
I'll have to say beating Howard. It was our senior night. That game was really personal. The energy was unreal. It was all about the pride and proving something and leaving our mark. Our defense held them to 121 yards. 121 yards total, 1.2 yards per carry. They were 0% on third down, and we won the game 26-3. And that just shouts to Coach Courtney Cord, our defensive coordinator, Coach Oliver, and the whole staff as well. But we had something to prove that game. Just going into the game, we just had something to prove.
So when I watched a lot of tape yesterday, I guess agree or disagree, was Morgan State the toughest team in that conference?
I'd say South Carolina State.
South Carolina State. Morgan just seemed different. They had another Williams as a defensive tackle that looked pretty good, and they just seemed different in that game when I was watching tape. Like, I don't know, you guys gave it a game, obviously.
Yeah, they definitely brought theirs. They definitely brought theirs that night.
All right, follow up to that is, what is the daily grind, for a college athlete from a training perspective? I think that, anybody listening later and now is wanting to know, what do you go through every day? What's the mental or physical struggles that you have to go through as an athlete just to get prepared, after a game Your body's probably a wreck. How are you going to get prepared for the next game that's a week away? So kind of give us a little walk through that week, if you will. You just finished a game. You're heading into the next game. What are you doing?
Of course, we're hopping on film that Sunday. Getting lift, practicing, just flushing our systems out from all that lactic acid that we built up from the previous game. And Coach Thomas Carroll, he did a great job of that, making sure we were on our P's and Q's. Just going into Monday, that's a academic day. Like, take care of your schooling. You can get treatment from the ATs. Dr. Hobbs, she did a great job of that. And it's just like, for me, I go stretch, roll out, hit the hot tub, cold tub, or I might even go see Dr. Littlejohn, and it's just a focus session on anything that's can be sore, and just going from Tuesday, Wednesday, like it's weights, class, and then we practicing for those 3 days, and then we hit the road on Friday. So, and it's just it's the same thing, but the biggest thing is resting, because you got to recover, and refueling, because you can't do nothing without refueling. So that's the everyday grind for me.
Do you have a cheat day? Like, is there any cheating in your diet? Or are you a good eater? Do you feel like you eat pretty well, or you got the smile like you're snacking on something? Well, what's the snack?
Yeah, I eat pretty great, but got to have some cookies with the baby girl sometimes.
Are they chocolate chip? What are they? What's your favorite cookie?
Chocolate chip cookies.
All right.
Chocolate chip cookies. Yeah.
Everyone has to cheat a little bit. I mean, you need a little sugar. It makes the smile that much better, right?
Yes.
So, all right. I watched some game film. The last few days, last night, I put a little bit more work into it. Like I said, I couldn't really get past Alabama State. There was so many good plays, and I knew that if I kept going and I kept digging, I mean, I watched all the games, but I just couldn't add more highlights, because there's some things that maybe not are considered a highlight to other people, but to me, I see things that are happening just from my purview, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but we got 3.5 minutes here of highlights, and I'll probably stop it and start it and talk about it a little bit. There's no audio. Hopefully the NCAA doesn't whack me, but we'll see. So we'll start with some highlights of Mr. Williams from this past season. This is the Alabama State game. And matter of fact, let me make sure that we're both in this. Yeah, make sure we're both in this scene so we can comment. Now, before I get there, though, your position, you were all over the place. It seemed like on the line. You look like you could do from 3-tech all the way out. Could you, I guess, define what your role is? I mean, you were even on the nose too at times. So could you define what your main role is at North Carolina?
It's just basically, I'm a team guy. Whatever the team needs, I'm gonna do it. Whatever coach needs me to do, I'm gonna get it done to my best ability. So,
yeah, you seem like you played multiple positions on that D line.
Sir.
You were all over the place, man, and that's obviously a good trait that you're flexible, you're versatile. Clearly showed up on film. Let me get this open here. I don't know why it's not letting me copy the camera, but here we go. Okay, so this is the hit that it broke Twitter for me for a minute. We call that the Jadeveon Clowney hit, right? It's very similar. Love the celly. Love the dance. Man, it is not letting me copy your camera. Yeah, so on this one, man, you obviously, get through. Now that tackle was holding you. You had that sack dead to rights. You had that quarterback. And it looked like he pulled you down and in, and obviously that didn't allow you to get your arms free, but you had him. Well, you crushed that can, man, and got down that line. That's impressive. There you are. This was also, I really enjoyed this one because you stayed in your lane, you shed the block, and then you just fill the gap and you eat him up, man. It's a great play. I need to get him in here to comment. Maybe we'll get his comments afterwards. I don't know why it's not letting me copy his camera. There we go. You can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. You can do any play-by-play or anything that you want to add to this. I mean, feel free. Go back on.
I think that previous play that was one of the junior nose guards, Xavier Fields. The play that you brought up.
Oh, it wasn't you?
No, sir.
Oh, maybe the 90 and the 9 looked alike. That's you on the left end there, yeah?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is something that I talk about, often with defensive end position is, you stayed vertical. You didn't crash down. You had your eyes inside on the quarterback. Number 54, Ewan, I think is who that was. I mean, all three of you guys from the, Ewan on the linebacker got through untouched. I mean, he obviously was hot. The halfback misses the block. You clearly see that he's in, and you just stay vertical there and wrap up the tackle. That quarterback had nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's the main thing Coach Courtney Court hit on is keeping contained and just being balled up. I know before Max, our linebacker, he told me, he said, Jude, stay vertical, I'm gonna get there. I said, I got you. And that is how that play. Like, it's big on communicating.
Could you explain, I guess, while we're going through some of this, I mean, why is it important to stay and contain, stay in your zone? I mean, you're going to have your times where you're free rushing, but why is it important to contain?
Because you never know. It's all about knowing your personnel. It's all about knowing your personnel. Because you got a Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, I can't call his name.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. If you have scramble quarterbacks like that, you can't be willing to take the inside move because they'll hurt you with their legs.
Exactly. Let me wind this back now that I got you in here. I want to wind back to the beginning for a moment. Please talk to us about this play. I love this play.
It was just. Go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead. Go ahead.
It was basically film study, just knowing what we was getting.
What's the celly there? What do you call that?
That's just a dance me and my teammates having made up like it was before the season, and it just stuck with me.
So is this play where you're crashing on your left end there? You crashed down, but that 99, that wasn't you?
99, that's me.
Yeah, that is you.
Yes,
so
sir.
I think Fields made the play on the quarterback at the end, but yeah, you're getting. I think you got held there. I mean, you don't have to call it out, but it looked like you got held right there.
That's Fields right there.
Right there on this play.
Yes, sir.
I guess it is. He had he's a little bit bigger up front. I liked Fields' work too. I watched him on some plays. Hey, at least you're not taking credit for somebody else's work, right?
Yes, sir.
Here you go on the right side here. I mean, you just got around that tackle with ease. How do you feel your get off is? Your launch point on this play?
I feel like I have a very good get off. I know in the season, like beginning of the season, and it was okay, but as I went on, like I got better at my ball get off. And that's the biggest thing Coach Cole was preaching, BGO.
I love it. I can't. I mean, this tape right here. I mean, this play. People have to just watch this over and over and over, and they have to tell themselves it is so important. Yeah, when you get a free rusher through the middle, that quarterback's going left or right. Who's going to stay home is going to win, and obviously you and Ewan won on that play. That quarterback couldn't go anywhere. And I think I want to say that this game was a more of a difficult game because they were running a 2-quarterback system. So you're kind of getting 2 different looks.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you getting lateral here. I mean, sideline to sideline. I don't know if they counted that as a sack. It looked like it was behind the line of gain. But again, you stayed true to where you were supposed to be, and then you just got after it. You cut them off. Good angle. And then this is another one. I mean, you're peeking into the backfield, right? That it's a better look at this where you're peeking at that quarterback and you realize he's about to take off and you shed that block and you get moving. And there's another one. You're peeking, you're looking, you're staying, and then you just move down the line. A little late on that one, Darius. A little late. I definitely love your edge work. And there's like, I can't tell people enough to go watch, the North Carolina Central games versus Alabama State, Morgan State, South Carolina State, Howard. At Alabama State, I came up with 5 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks. Morgan State, 2 tackles, 1 TFL. You led the team with 4 quarterback hurries. South Carolina State, 5 tackles, TFL. Howard, you had 2 tackles, 1.5 TFLs, 1.5 sacks. Some of those stats are, a little bit more conflicted on other sites, but that's what I saw, and that's what I read. And yeah, good work, man. Great work, actually. Like I said, I really enjoyed your tape. And again, I apologize about the guys not being able to ask questions, but they're enjoying it. Everyone's enjoying in this show this morning. So we watched some highlights, and Riley had a question for you, and that is, what are your most important intangibles and characteristics that your future team should know about you and your game, whether that's, I guess why should an NFL, CFL, or UFL team believe in you at the next level? I'm hoping that that's NFL, but I know that you've kind of kept your window open, at least from what I've read. But tell us, what are the most intangibles, characteristics about you, your play, and why should your future team believe in you?
I must say effort, toughness, and versatility. I play with my heart and intensity. I'm coachable. I'm a leader in the locker room. And just coming with a mindset of not getting outworked. That's always been me since I was young. I never wanted anybody to outwork me. And that's just pushed me along the years.
Hustle, man. I love it. It's the hustle, and I couldn't agree more. When you outwork your opponent, more often than not, you're going to win. You're going to win that day, but at least you can go to bed knowing that you gave everything. And that is why I feel like, our experiences that we face in life, good or bad, they have really helped to shape and mold, who we are and who we are today. And you and your family, you mentioned it a little earlier, but you faced some tough adversity at times, as well as celebrated, some really great blessings. And you spoke about your daughter, but your father had some health issues at the same time. Your mother, I didn't know that it was breast cancer, but my family's gone through it too. I'm a cancer survivor myself, so I understand it. I mean, I get it. And, to make matters, I guess, even more chaotic during all of this, you had the most amazing blessing, which is bringing your baby girl into the world, which is obviously an absolute amazing experience, but nothing like a roller coaster, man, of highs and lows kind of all at once. And when I found this statement by you, I felt moved personally. This is a statement that I'm going to keep. And however, or how powerful really this message was, and I wanted to share it with the listeners today. And this was the quote. I learned that setbacks aren't permanent. They are opportunities for comebacks. Through it all, I realized the importance of never giving up, no matter how difficult the road may seem. End quote. That is such a powerful message where, like I said earlier, you're seeing opportunities where others are going to use excuses. And I think that whatever team sees that, hears this, finds that out about you will understand that you're going to give everything you have each and every day, each and every play. So the question is, if you would like to share, what was kind of going through your life at that time to have such a deep, profound revelation about your journey and the thinking of replacing excuses with opportunities, where did you develop that mindset? Who has been the biggest support system for you to that stage in your life?
Okay, I'm gonna start with so just overcoming adversity. So my pops was blind since I was 12. Since I was 12 years old, and like just throughout the years, like he got diagnosed with kidney disease, so on dialysis.
Oh man.
So I'm here at Middle Tennessee. Just everyday struggles, and I really didn't like as I went. I really it beat me up a bit, but like as I went on to Indiana State, then finding out my mom having breast cancer, and like we found out, it's crazy. We found out on Mother's Day, so that just hurt, that crushed me, and it's just seeing them, everything that they went through. They never gave me an excuse for nothing, and everything that they've been through, they never gave up. They never said, "I'm tired." They fought every day. So that's the main thing. That's the main thing my message came from, was them, even though they was going through this and that, they never quit. They never gave up.
It's powerful stuff, man. So is it safe to say that your biggest support system, was your mom and your dad, going through their struggles and showing you that there is a better way through life than making excuses? I mean, am I right on that? Was there other coaches and individuals in your life that were also instrumental? And I guess if you could take a look back, and if there was one thing that you could share with a younger DARIUS, kind of going through this in your life, getting ready to wrestle with real world problems, family health issues and bringing a daughter into the world. And I guess what would you share with that younger DARIUS now that would be a message to somebody else that maybe is 20 years old going to play, college football, or 18 years old heading to play college football and just kind of up against life? I guess, again, is there another bigger person in your life, coach, whatever, that was part of this growth moment? And what would you want to say to a younger DARIUS?
Okay. Most importantly, God. That's all. I had to call on God. It was many nights, cried. Many nights, cried. It was sometimes I didn't even pray. Like, I just cried. But my family, no doubt, they've been my foundation through it all. Ups and downs. My daughter, she changed my whole perspective. She's the reason I keep pushing. But my family, no doubt, if it's from coaches, friends, even her mom, she pushes me as well. So it's just they're the reason. They're the reason I kept going. They're the reason, my family, no doubt. But advice to my younger self. Number one, trust God. Keep trusting the process. Stop stressing over what you can't control. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares how you feel. I'm not saying they don't, but that's just in reality. But just stay patient, keep grinding, and never let any setbacks make you doubt yourself.
That's that's powerful, man, because it's really not about anybody else. It's about you. It's about your inner self and how strong you are and how willing you are to go to battle every day. Yeah, that's great stuff, man. So this next question, I know the answer is yes, but I'm sure that you've dreamt about the next stage in your life. And that's the NFL. Like you've mentioned in previous articles, the CFL, UFL, whatever it happens to be for you. I assume that you want to play football. And you obviously want to continue doing what you've been doing, which is growing. So just to be able to play one snap on Sundays in front of 65,000 screaming fans. The question was this from Riley. When you look around the NFL, what team cultures really stick out to you that you feel you're more connected or drawn to, or that you would maybe blend well with? And what is the most important aspect of a team's culture or identity in your own words? And maybe this is shaped from some of the cultures that you've been around so far, with the colleges that you've been at. But I guess when you look at the NFL, I'm sure that you pay attention to what's going on. Who do you think you identify with? Or what identifies with you, I should say?
I wouldn't necessarily say a team, but like towards any team that preaches hard. Every team gonna preach hard work, accountability, and winning mentality. But it's just those blue collar teams where physicality and heart matters. That's where I best fit.
I love it. I love it. So a follow-up from Eric was, and you don't have to answer this. I mean, I read what it was, but who's been your favorite NFL team growing up? And do you watch any of the UFL or CFL teams right now? I mean, not that you have a ton of time in your life for this stuff, raising a daughter, but who was your favorite team? Who'd you watch when you're growing up in your younger days?
So I used to watch the Arizona Cardinals, New Orleans Saints, because back in the day, I used to play running back. And receiver. So I was a big Reggie Bush fan and a Larry Fitzgerald fan.
Love it. I love it. So there's some mixture happening with the Saints. So our coach here for the Detroit Lions was a coach for the Saints. Have you ever thought about the Lions to any degree? Do you think that their culture and identity and what they built? I know that we've been a losing organization for many decades, but finally turning the corner. Do you feel like that culture and what Dan Campbell preaches, that blue collar mentality, that bring your lunch pail to work identity, is that what you're looking for at your next step?
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. But I'm grateful for wherever I land.
Yeah, I think that's a great positive attitude to have there too. So I feel like we do, really well in life when we try to, reach back and kind of pick people up with us, right? But I have another question for you that I kind of skipped. And that was during, some of these bigger games that you played in this last season. Did you remember any NFL scouts or GMs in attendance? And specifically, I want to know if Brad Holmes was at the North Carolina A&T game. If you can even think that you remember, if you saw him or interacted with, because that's his former school, right? So did he ever send scouts to any of your practices or games? And I'm asking because I'm interested in this next draft diamond that Brad Holmes is going to come up with. And you don't have to answer if you feel like it would, hinder, anything for you. So you could just say move up.
We can move up.
All right. Okay. We'll move up. He can neither confirm nor deny. Good answer. All right. So we do better in life when we feel, that we're bringing people with us, right? We spoke about this yesterday, so now I don't feel so bad about bringing this individual's name up, and you corrected his name for me. Thank you. So I want to finish with a couple of things. One, let's raise up one of your teammates. You can choose any one you want. I threw out the name Joaquin, right? It's Joaquin Davis. And according to reports, he made one of the best impressions at the HBCU Combine this past week. And I have to say, I watched some of his work. He looks exciting. But tell us about this individual, Joaquin Davis. What did he mean to you? And were you surprised at all by his performances? And I guess just give us a little bit about him and your relationship.
I wasn't surprised at all. Like, I knew when he went to the combine, I knew that he was going to stand out. Like, we actually trained together as we prepare for pro day, but I wasn't surprised at all. But Walker's, he's a God friend man, about family, hardest worker in the room, no doubt. When I first got here, it was me, Joaquin, Jaden Taylor, Jamari Taylor. Like, we hit the field. It's different skill, it's different position work, but they at the field doing the same thing we doing. That's just how they buys into everything, just working, just the little things. And I haven't, like, this is my first year there, and it's just everybody have highly things to say about Joaquin, but whoever picks him, they getting a baller, a hard worker. It's just, I wasn't surprised at all with Joaquin.
Yeah, you had mentioned yesterday that he was kind of a bigger part of an impact on you early. When you had walked into North Carolina Central. I guess maybe go in a little bit to how that relationship molded and how was he impactful for you? Your first steps walking into the building.
I'm just seeing a worker. Every time, like, we have breaks during between classes, he in there stretching, he in there squatting, doing some back or some curls, and that's just like, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, let's meet the intensity, because every day he'll be like, "What you doing today, Ju?" I said, "I'm doing this today. What you doing?" And that just carried on to the summer, and just bonding with him throughout the summer, and it's just like, you'll be amazed.
So it sounds like intensity breeds intensity, and hard work obviously breeds hard work. And again, I have to say, I can't thank you enough for joining with us this morning. Your story is inspiring. I want to give you like the final, 30, 60, however long you want to take, kind of your elevator pitch to the leagues. And what do you want people to know about DARIUS JUJU Williams' life, career, future? The floor is yours, man. This is your elevator pitch to the world, I guess.
Well, I'm DARIUS JUJU Williams, a player who brings effort, intensity, and leadership every single day. I don't make excuses for what's going on. I just make the most of it. And I'm always working to improve, master my craft, whether it's NFL, CFL, or UFL. I'm ready to bring my value to any team that's willing to bet on me.
I love it, man. I really love this statement. It's going up on my board. That quote is going to follow with me for a long time. And honestly, there's no such thing as an excuse. It's an opportunity. And that's a quote by DARIUS JUJU Williams, that he learned that the setbacks aren't permanent. They're opportunities for comebacks. That is powerful. I believe in you. I appreciate you joining us this morning. I apologize about the hiccups that we had with the audio. If we run this back again in the future, or if any of your fellow teammates want to come on, be more than happy. Good luck, man. Keep working, keep grinding, and best blessings to you and your family.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, man. Take care. That's DARIUS JUJU Williams. Thank you. All right. Pretty dang good interview. Really impactful stuff here. These are the reasons why, when you look around the league and these lesser known names, and I'm not saying that he is a lesser known name, but when Brad Holmes brings in a guy that maybe you just don't know, you haven't heard, right? You haven't spent all this time seeing their highlights because, not all of their highlights are at the top of the list or whatever it is. When you really start to dig and you start to find some of these guys around the college ranks, you're going to find some really good people. You're going to find some really good players. And you're going to find some guys that you want next to you in a war. But more specifically, in the trenches. DARIUS obviously embodies what it is to be an NFL player or be a player at the next level. What it is to be a father. What it is to be a family member. His belief system and the people that have impacted him. But I can't say it any better than what he said. I learned that setbacks aren't permanent. They're opportunities for comebacks. I realized the importance of never giving up, no matter how difficult the road may seem. to anybody out there that's battling something today, just remember that. Yeah, this is a football show, but at the same time, we're all about the people first. We're about putting others first. And it's these types of messages that you can share with people that you know and that you love and help them get, out of the funk that they're in because they're battling something. Have them be a comeback story, not an excuse. So let me bring the guys back in. What happened to Eric? Where'd he go?
I can see him.
I can't.
Weird.
Can you hear me, Eric?
Yeah, I got you. Hold on.
I'm green.
Yeah, I don't know why you're green. Oh, that's just interesting. All right, there you are. Let me fix the other screen. Take it away, though, Eric, for a moment here while I fix the other screen. What did you learn from this interview?
This is what I'm going to say. Before today, I knew nothing about DARIUS JUJU Williams, excuse me. That kid has an infectious smile.
Yeah.
And I looked up when you had it in the 4 scene, and he was just talking with a big smile on his face, saying something funny. And I looked, and I had a smile on my face. You had a smile on your face, and Riley, all 4 of us at the same time had big white grins going on. And I was just like, man, that guy's infectious. He has all of us smiling on this podcast. So I know everyone at home was doing the same thing. And what a pleasure that was to talk to somebody like that. And I'm going to tell you what, no matter where this guy ends up, whether it's the CFL, the UFL, or the NFL, I will root for this guy. And I feel like I have some stake in him now, so whether he ends up with the St. Louis Battlehawks or the BC Lions or even the Green Bay Packers, I don't care where he goes. I am going to root for DARIUS JUJU Williams, the player. So that's pretty awesome.
I forgot to ask him a question, and it was one of the better questions because part of this also highlighting, the HBCU combine and the HBCU school system. Part of my research this year was trying to dig in a little bit to Brad Holmes and in North Carolina A&T. When all of this came across my desk, right, and I see this highlight, I'm like, okay, this is the path that I'm taking. I'm going to dig into this guy a little bit more, and he was, so gracious right away to come onto the show and talk. And clearly, I think that we just learned this guy has a bright future, whatever it is. And yeah, you're damn right. I'm rooting for him. I'm definitely rooting for him wherever he ends up. And this is the thing that, I kind of highlighted about Broderick Martin this week is, Broderick was an unknown player to a lot of people, but he wasn't to Brad. And there's a reason why. A lot of these guys that end up going to, schools that may not be in the main light all the time, just because you don't hear about them doesn't mean they're not good athletes. Doesn't mean that they're not good football players. Doesn't mean that they don't deserve a chance. I think that Mr. DARIUS Williams does. And I think that the highlights that I put in, it wasn't just about him making an exceptional play. It was the neck up that we just talked about yesterday. The head, right? The mental plays that he was making on the field. Riley, what did you learn, man?
Yeah, one, how easy it is to root for people when you just have a little bit of conversation with them. To a degree, you kind of even feel that I do in the chat, seeing all the same names every morning. It's just people that you root for. Like Eric said, now I have a vested interest. Now I have a stake in the success of other people. And that's when you are in the service of other people and you forget about yourself. That's when you have the most meaningful experiences. And then, as you talk about, Will, all the time, from the neck up, was when you're breaking down film with him and he's describing, hey, right before this play, my linebacker just said, hey, Ju, stay vertical, right? So there's so many things going on in any given one play in football on any given snap. But because of something that was communicated, his focus became singular, and it was simply just execute your part of the play, and he made a play. And it's, teammates helping each other. And that's what's so beautiful about football is you do your 1/11th, you do your one part, and it's all part of a bigger picture. Very easy guy to root for. Wish him nothing but the best. A good heart and awesome story.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we get better at this, I'm going to get the audio fixed, hopefully, when Video Ninja gets back to me and it can figure out why people can't hear. Like, we didn't have this last night. So I was doing a session with Riley last night, and he texted me that he could do a quick session. Audio, everything was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what changed from last night, but when I opened OBS, 15 files are missing. I can't record anything. It was just a mess. So something happened. Oh, you know what? I know what happened. I lost internet last night. So I was up at 3:00 this morning hoping that I had internet back and ready to fix whatever. Still didn't have internet back. So when we lost connection, I lost probably everything that is out in my cloud. And I have to get it re-downloaded. That's probably what happened. So, look, there's no excuses. There's just a comeback story this morning that we got to show off, right? So thank you, Mr. Darius JUJU Williams, for that, because now I'm going to use it all the time. And like I was saying, as we get better, I want to make sure that we're able to get the chat involved. And what we're going to do is, I think we're going to do it donation-wise. Like, we'll just do like a $5 or $2 donation. Like, if you want to ask a question, super chat it up, put the question in so that we see it. It goes to a good cause. And that way we can have more interaction. If you are a member of the channel, obviously you won't need to donate. If you're not a member, you'll have to donate. That way we can put it towards a good cause. So I apologize about not getting in the chat. But Mr. Anthony Jones in the chat said, I love and appreciation for the well-deserved recognition that we are giving these young men. And see, that's what it's all about, man. It's about other people first. And I could sit here and do this show about anything that I wanted each and every day. But what service would I, how would we as a team, how would I as an individual be helping, the football community if we didn't do interviews, if we didn't try to highlight other people? I think that that's an epic failure if we don't do that. I know that we have a couple more interviews already scheduled. Riley has one that I think he's doing on Talking Football, and then we have a coach from California, Brandon, right? Is his first name Thomas?
Tim
Brandon. They'll be coming on next week, Wednesday evening. So it'll be a 6 p.m. show. And we've got a few things lined up. So, the other thing that I was happy to hear this morning, and so when you were on, Riley, you know that last night I didn't prep him for anything, right? I didn't really prep him about any of the questions. I didn't want him to answer in any certain way, but he mentioned another keyword today, and that was containment and why it's so important. He went ahead and answered it. Mobile quarterbacks. You don't know what they're going to do, and if you don't contain, they're going to hurt you. Coming from a guy that's playing a high-level football, probably at a much higher level than any of us in the chat, any of us sitting in these chairs have ever played, he knows a thing or two, and it clearly shows up in tape. When he stays vertical and he's got his eyes on the quarterback or he has his eyes in the backfield, there's a reason why he's able to not lock on with the tackle, and make eye love to him. No, he's looking. Where's the ball? Where's the quarterback going? Where's the running back? I'm going to make my play regardless, and then I'm going to get to the ball. And that's what containment's all about. You can contain and still look at your target. You don't have to get too deep and get yourself out of the play. So, great stuff. Anything else, Eric, you want to add for the day?
Yeah. So I had a question that I really wanted to ask, either from you or from Darius.
Oh, shoot.
And that is,
should have spoke up.
Well, I wanted to let the show flow.
I got you.
But the thing is, I wanted to know about this HBCU combine.
Yeah.
When was it?
Yep.
What schools are invited to it? And is it the same exact, 3-cone, 40-yard dash, doing the lifts and the jumps and everything else? Is it all the same as the regular combine? And then does any athlete that participated in that combine going to the actual NFL combine?
So I'm gonna answer it the best way that I know how. And I thought that I shared that information with you guys, whether it was in emails or text threads about the combine itself. So it's only HBCU schools. I mean, that makes the most sense, right? It's only HBCU schools that get to go. As far as testing, from what I understand, it is the same style of testing. So they have the broad, the 40, the 3-cone, the shuttle. They do all the, the work as far as, passing, catching, all that stuff. They pretty much do everything the same.
Yep.
You can watch it. I can't remember where I saw the actual video of it. Here's a video right here, but yeah, it almost looks identical to the regular combine. I mean, it's a combine. I don't know why it's an HBCU combine and then there's an NFL combine.
Yeah.
I think that they should just probably merge them together.
Combine
the combines. Hello.
Yeah.
Put all these people together.
I also heard him talk about Pro Day. So
Yep.
they must have a pro day at his school as well.
Yes, all schools have a pro day, as long as, it's a school that has players that are going to, go somewhere. And I would say that there's a handful of players at NCCU that have an opportunity. And that Joaquin Davis, he's one of them, man. He's 6'3", 210. I think he ran a 4.43. Watched him, wide receiver. Joaquin Davis. So I watched a couple plays. I think it was Morgan State. It might have been Morgan State. It's like a 50-yard bomb. I mean, the dude just has, hands of steel. Like he doesn't drop footballs.
Nice.
And he made a great play. So when you're looking for a late round guy, you're looking for a big body receiver, maybe somebody that's not going to start right away or could. I'm not saying that he couldn't. This is a guy that you might find in a late round. He could be a guy that moves up the board, after that. He was a showstopper at the HBCU combine. Flat out. He was a showstopper.
Is Darius playing in the HBCU bowl game this weekend?
The Legacy Bowl, I don't know. I didn't ask him. I'll text him, in Twitter and see. Now, that's the thing about the combines is you have to be invited to.
Oh,
I didn't see where he was invited, which I'm really surprised, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't. I think that he's 6'3", 250, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got that outside linebacker, defensive end. He played all over the line. He was nose, he was 3, he was 9. He was all over the place, and you could see it with the highlights. Matter of fact, let's roll through those highlights one more time. And let's just have a conversation about it real quick. So this is the play that showed up right away on Twitter. Let me get you guys in here. Get Eric in here real quick. All right, so let me rewind it. We'll start with this one.
Oh.
So you can see on this play where, he gets really good outside leverage and then crashes in, right? He crushed the can. He gets leverage, and then boom, he makes his move inside. He was held on that play.
Mm-hmm.
I've slowed it down and watched it several times. His jersey, his hand, everything was held. He couldn't break free to get his hand on the quarterback. I guess on this play I had the wrong player highlighted.
Did you notice, though, he made no excuses about being held?
Exactly. He didn't even mention it. One major pain, I'll find out, buddy. I forgot to ask him his measurements, but I'll ask him that offline. Now, I did like Fields' work. So here he is out, obviously a defensive end, more in the wide stance off the outside shoulder of the tackle. I mean, he has no issues, right? He has no issues bullying these bigger tackles. And honestly, that tackle is way behind the offensive center or the offensive line's, center. Same kind of issue that we faced with the Chiefs. He needed to be up about a half a yard. If he was up a half a yard, he was beat. I mean, don't kid yourselves. This dude he's a big guy. He's pretty quick too. But see, on this play, like I said, he's peeking in. Clearly, staying vertical, like he said. You're closing down those lanes.
Full State Farm says the HBCU bowl game is on at 3 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network this Saturday. I know what I'm watching.
Yep, Legacy Bowl. I think I put it up on Twitter. I don't think I added it. I'll put it in the community post too. Maybe I'll be live for it. Maybe we'll watch it together because I know that there's a lot of good players. This is another one. When you talk about someone to have, the ability to get sideline to sideline, I mean, he chases a quarterback down.
There's such consistent effort with him. It's like every play, you know what you're going to get. And you see it every year. There's undrafted players. Like all of these guys can play. It's just a matter of getting in the right situation and then getting a hold of a spot and just giving it everything you've got, all your heart, all your soul, not letting go of it. And that's how these guys go from being undrafted or a late round pick to maybe becoming a Pro Bowl player.
Exactly. Watch on this play how he's going to get north, right? And then he's going to pause. So he's setting his edge, pause. You notice how he had his eyes on the quarterback or on the running back right there? Right there. So he's looking out to the left. He's watching the quarterback. The quarterback's not even looking at the running back. So he then makes his move and goes inside and then sheds the block, and now he's chasing downhill, getting to the sideline. Just awareness, man. He's aware. And again, these are things you cannot teach. You cannot teach awareness. You can explain to people, hey, you need to be more aware about this situation. But unless they can reciprocate that and actually do it, it's a little bit harder when you have a natural instinct. You can't teach that.
Yep.
I mean, so there on this play, he's crashing the edge and then he crashes down the line.
No better example of that, Will, than the fact that he remembers, like, yeah, on that play, the linebacker told me, hey, Juju, stay vertical. Like the fact that you can recall that in the moment tells you, like, yeah, he's alive, he's awake, he's alert because he remembers exactly what somebody said to him before that one particular snap.
Yeah. I tell you what, so last night, Riley, I was exhausted, right? I was like 7 p.m. I'm ready to go to bed. I was, up since way early in the morning. And then I just got this second wind after we got off with DARIUS doing the sound check. And I was up till 1 o'clock watching tape. And I couldn't stop watching tape. I watched all 4 games of his best games. So, imagine me taking 4 games and shrinking it down into about 3 hours of work and then pulling the highlights and cutting them up. And yeah, good tape. A lot of good stuff in there. And, there might be plays that, yeah, he's not getting a sack or he's not getting a tackle or he's not tipping a ball, but he's doing something that is contributing. So what were you going to say, Eric?
Just listening to him talk reminded me of something. So I don't know if I've ever said this on the show or not before, but I played high school football and I was the right defensive end. So I would have been the opposite side of Hutch. And my sophomore year, we won every single game until the last game of the season. And we played a team called St. Ignace about 45 minutes away from Newberry. And they had this kid that was like a mini Barry Sanders. And my coach just kept saying, you gotta contain the edge. You can't let this guy get around you. And he was a running back, and he was so fast, and he had spin moves, and every button you can push on the controller, this kid had it. And he was so good, and I could not contain the edge. And he scored on me probably 2 or 3 times because I couldn't contain the edge. And I just couldn't believe it, So some of the things he was saying was exactly the same way my coach used to preach it. And that was kind of cool that it brought me back to that memory all the way back from, I don't know what, 10th grade. So I played 4 years of football. I was the right end and the starting punter. And
Huh?
Yep. Every once in a great while, I played tight end as well. Caught 1 pass, and I scored 1 defensive touchdown. That was my big highlights from high school.
Who in the chat pegged Eric as the punter? I knew that because I've had a one-on-one interview with him. But when he said it, I was like, wait, did you say punter?
Yeah. I
I
held the school record for a long time.
So not just a punter, but a good punter.
Yeah, I held the school record for a long time. I can surprise people.
Okay, Jack Fox.
Hey, I had the win, the perfect spiral at Onaway, and I kicked one that you would not believe. Coffin kick right to the 1-yard line. Wind behind me, and it just sailed 70-something yards. I don't even remember how far it was anymore. But yeah, that just him talking brought me back to those days of playing football and my coach preaching, contain the end, contain the edge, contain the edge. Don't let him outside. And what did I do? I let him outside every time because I wanted to crash down and I wanted to sack that quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, so that's why, listening to Calvin Shepard yesterday when he was saying, you notice how I didn't mention one stat, one accolade. And that's because when you're thinking about that stuff, bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
And if you just think about what's at hand, make the play first and foremost. Make the play. Do what you're supposed to do. Do your job, right? Those 3 words, do your job. That holds up more in the game of football than it doesn't. Just do your damn job. Things will work out. Let's see here. Anybody in Warren King says, I think it's important to hang on to your late round picks so you can find players like these. You never know if these guys are going to jump the board. The thing is it takes, let's be real for a moment. You have, gosh, how many schools are there? Like 140 in the FBS, I think.
Yeah, 140, 150, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in that range. So if you have 140 players, I don't remember what the number is as far as players allowed on a team. It might be right around 90 that they can actually keep on the squad. Might be. But let's just say there's 60. Talking 8,400 football players at the FBS level. These scouts across 32 teams have to go and watch. 8,400 all over the country. Now you're in your own little quadrant. Whether you're the Northeast, the Southeast, the Northwest, the Southwest, the Mideast, the Midwest, the Mid-Central, the Mid-South. You got all these little well, they're not really quadrants. You got all these little sectors where the scouts go, and that's their area. Imagine how difficult it is to be able to get eyes on all of these players. And that's why a lot of them slip through the cracks. That's when you hear the 30-year-old on the basketball court that says, man, I used to. Man, I was that guy. I was, whatever and for this school, but I never got looked at because we didn't have scouts. You know, we didn't have scouts. Speaking of scouts, I asked him the direct question of Brad Holmes. He smiled. He wouldn't answer. What does it mean? I expected that Brad would probably be down, you know, at the A&T game. I would expect that. I don't know. You know, I don't know if he was or not, but I would expect that he probably would be, that he probably gets down to, you know, some of those schools and checks them out himself. But yeah, very interesting when you start to dig into tape on these guys, that there are so many good players that exist. All right, let's wrap it up. It's 10:09. What do you guys want to talk about for the last? I mean, Riley probably got to head out to work.
Yeah,
Eric,
I'll
go ahead,
tap
Riley.
out.
Go ahead, Riley.
Yeah, I'll tap out. Great interview. Yeah, I'll tap out here and then listen in for the rest of the show, and then be back tomorrow morning.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. Have a good day.
All right, you guys as well.
Oh, Eric's not in that one, but Eric's in this one.
Ah, there we are.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so my 30 seconds of fame here. Dude, what a great interview. What fun that was. Brought back a lot of really great memories of playing football myself, and something I don't bring up very often. Football was huge for me in high school. I loved it. I think my dad lived vicariously through me, because my dad never got to play football when he was in high school, and he always loved football. I grew up watching football on TV. When we had the big blizzard of 1978, I was 3 years old, and I put my sippy cup of orange juice on top of the TV, and what happened? It knocked over, zapped the TV, and my dad was watching the Lions game. So I'm telling you, football's been a huge part of my life. One of the earliest photographs I have of me is I'm like 2 or 3 years old, and you know, I still have a diaper on, and I'm holding a guitar with a football helmet on. So football's been huge my entire life. And man, this interview today just brought back memories, and I loved the infectious smile from this guy, and just his whole attitude, his aura, his vibe. I will root for him no matter where he goes. I love it. Love the story.
Me too. At least we know one thing hasn't changed, and that's you wearing diapers. Like you said, you can't see below the chest. So, you know, Eric's got his Huggies on today.
How do you think I make it through 2 or 3 hour podcasts?
Oh, that's just wrong. Yeah. Eric just pisses himself. Goodness.
Got to make it somehow.
I'll shoot. You know, I'll be 45 this year. Maybe that's not far off in the distance.
Dude, I got a couple weeks till 50.
Oh, man, that's big. What are you doing?
I don't know. Maybe I'll go to the combine. I don't know yet.
That's right. Your birthday is around the combine. When is it?
It's March, in third week of March. March 20th.
Yeah, so you're way off. You're more, you're closer to the, okay.
It's a month away. So,
yep.
Yeah. 50. My wife thinks it's funny because I'm going to get an AARP card and all that kind of crap.
You get that at 50?
Yeah, they're sending me all that stuff now. And like at the casino, now I get a senior discount at the casino at 50.
Well, I know who's buying dinner now. I mean, goodness. Yeah, you get all the discounts.
Crap.
You get your don't you get a free senior coffee at McDonald's?
I don't know how old you got to be for that, but oh man. Or U of M dad says, "Hey, being old isn't that bad. I'm 52, soon to be 53." Yeah.
Oh man,
well, I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, when I was younger, I couldn't do the things I wanted to do, and now that I'm a little bit older, I can do the things that I want to do. And what an amazing, awesome, super ride we're on. The last year has been super awesome. Can't wait to see what the next one brings.
Well, let's keep it slowed down for a minute. I want these years to slow down a little bit. I tell you, as you get older, the last 4 or 5 years for me, like I used to look extremely young, and everyone like, dude, you're 40, you look like you're 25. And it's like, yeah, well, then spine injury and cancer hits, and it's like, yeah, you age quick. You know, your body doesn't feel the same. So Anyway, look, I thought that this was an incredible interview for many reasons, but more so because of the story, the personal connection of sharing in, trials and tribulations of life, like he said, and the fact that he didn't give up. And, very, very similar to what I'm going through, what a lot of people are going through that we don't even know we're going through. But the message is don't give up, man. Let's turn these roadblocks and excuses to comebacks. Let's have some more comeback stories.
Hey, before we get off, so this all reminded me of something. You and I went to a football game together this year.
Yeah.
And they gave out these cards. And I'm going to show you one. Okay.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know if you can read that.
Yeah, your mom. I remember you putting it up.
But I put that one for my mom. And then I did this one for you. So
Appreciate
pretty
it.
awesome, man. Everybody's got a story. And that's our story right there. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun game too, man. I remember all the laughter and the smiles and the cheers and conversation. It was a great game.
That was the absolute best Lions football game I've ever been to in my entire life.
Kicked the snot out of them. It's a good game.
Yep.
Good game. Even though I thought at the end it was getting close. All right, good work. Good story. I apologize. We'll try to get the audio fixed so that everyone can hear and conversate, because I want everyone to be able to participate in the interviews. We were going to go Pat McAfee style today is what the goal was. And, man, no excuses. We're just going to get it fixed. So,
Yeah, we'll get her.
All right, y'all. Have a wonderful day. Go on Pride. Go Detroit Lions. And good luck, Mr. Darius JUJU Williams, on your next adventure. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Detroit Lions will